way up over 50% at the moment. Ben Best went lower and lower, but Super gets routed down onto the low ground. Now has to rejoin in. Violet's still going to be spamming away. Get some shots around the pillar. Transcendence is online. Hip just now getting his. Rally's going to be out from Nico as he nearly gets taken down. And Rascal will actually be taken out.
Grab committed, though.
Yeah, Grab will come through. Sound barrier going to be out. Line one kill as Kruise gets taken down, but Troy Hoban's going to get popped out of the mech. Violet dead just before. Now no supports here for the Shock. And Paris Eternal maintaining control. They're getting ready to surpass 50%.
That will be the second time Sinatra grabs late in a fight here on the Paul and does not flip it. And that tool missing here is such a huge boon for the Eternal because now Hip can build another Transcendence before he gets another grab. Shock's going to take a different approach angle here from the high ground, but immediately Paris responds, backs away, and unfortunately there's just no way for Sinatra to do that high ground damage here. Super very low.
Going low. Grab's going to be coming out. Violet does have the Transcendence. Bomb's going to be going up from Finzy. Looking for a pick. Gets rid of Super. Taking out that Ryan in the front.
Perfectly timed charge from Ben Best to knock the barrier away so that Finzy's self-destruct would connect onto Super. Super was clearly the priority target there. Nice shot calling there on the side of the Paris Eternal to lock him down.
And I mean, the worst thing there is that the Shock lose both of their support ultimates, do not have the sound barrier, do not have the trance. It was looking like maybe that was going to be a winnable fight even without a Graviton Surge available for Sinatra. Kruise going to get picked off, though. That's going to be a really good start for them as Rascal finds it. They're getting ready to go into OT. Shield comes up from Super, blocks out of the Earth Shatter. 3 members gone on the Paris Eternal. They will be losing this point. San Francisco Shock not going down without a final fight. Get the flip in overtime.
It's very critical here to Achilleos that they do it without ultimates. Not only is that impressive in itself, but it means that they can use the ultimates they now hold to defend the point, build up that control meter. When the Paris approach here, Hip should be able to build that Transcendence to counter the Graviton Surge coming out from Sinatra. However, it's what comes next that's going to be the problem. The extra sustain from the rally from Rascal and the potential shatter from Super. They don't have enough healing to deal with all of those things.
Transcendence now online. Rally going to be out from Nico. Armoring up his team as they push forward onto the point. Want to get this flip. Want to close out this round to Paul. Sinatra trying to build up that energy, sitting at 60 at the moment. Still push a bubble forward. Ben Best right up in the front, constantly hovering around half HP. Can they finally finish him off? He goes lower and lower. Grab comes out from Shadowburn, locking him up. Violet's got the Transcendence in. No one going down, but Super around the corner, isolated. They answer back with a grab of their own. The bomb comes down, but Finzy, he gets 2. Violet and Super both going to be taken out. Now a sound barrier comes in from Moth, just trying to get those shields onto the remaining members of the Shock. Moth answers back, finds Ben Best. Now Hip going to be gone. Shock maintain control.
A crazy fight. Their ult advantage got them the win in this fight, but will it win them the next one with no support ultimates to counter what will soon be the Shadowburn Graviton Surge? That's your big concern here is the Shock. Sinatra still holds the energy advantage, and he's trying desperately to build his own grab here with these right clicks, lobbing them in to this room here. This is the approach for Paris is going to try to use that grab to win this round and bring us to a third one. It's all about how Sinatra can manage that energy right now and do that extra damage.
Shatter comes in. Oh, Ben Best! He finds it, but the bubbles come out. Tries to get the pin, but he's unable to find it. Answering Shatter comes through from Super, locking up a couple, and Nico's going to be one of them, and now he's going to be taken down. Grab comes in from both sides. Everybody going to be locked up. Standoff. They just stare at each other. A couple kills going to be coming through from either side. Troy Hoban knocked out of the mech, going lower and lower, but they're able to keep the Baby Diva alive, and he's pistoling his way back into the mech. Now Shadowburn and Kruise going to be gone. OT ticking away. No one onto the point, and San Francisco will be able to take it a 2-0 on Nepal.
Despite the shatter from Ben Best, incredible energy management from Sinatra. He is leading 4,000 damage in the Zarya matchup right now. He's the hero they needed to win that first map.
Absolutely stellar start. Let's see what Paris can do when we come back from the break.
The Overwatch League is powered by Intel. Game, record, stream without compromise on Intel Core i7. And by Omen by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League.
restricting is mainly a term for when you want to stall a point on either control or payload, and you go out one by one.
Fury now returns to the frame, but it might be too late.
Four-man may be able to get back and just continue this fight one after another.
The point of this is to try and delay the enemy's progress as much as possible so you can reduce the number of fights that you have left in the game to win.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. San Francisco Shock able to pick up that first map victory on Nepal. 2-0. Very clean stuff. And well, I say very clean. Clean in the score, but very scrappy fights. A lot of back and forth. But Sinatra helping to lead the charge again for this squad. Put up some nice numbers on the Zarya.
Certainly leading so much in the damage there at the end. And despite the shatter that came through, he was able to win that last fight. 4,000 damage, the superior here in the Zarya versus Zarya matchup. The Graviton Surge efficiency pretty similar here. That means how many grabs, or how many kills rather, per grab come out. But when you look at the damage here, I mean, he's 10% higher on average energy, more kills, but he's building his ultimate about 20 seconds faster as well. So Shadowburn, right, he's a legend. For those who've never heard of Shadowburn, first of all, where have you been? But Shadowburn was one of the first legendary Overwatch players we've ever had. He was a Genji player who was able to shock the world with some incredible Dragon Blades. But here in a different meta, it's still taking him some time to adjust.
Also a big standout on that Pharah. Maybe we'll get to see it as we go deeper into the series. Only time will tell. But we're getting ready to move into our second map, Hollywood for Hybrid. We'll see if Shock can extend this lead to a 2-0, get to match point, be able to take away this very anticipated series, or if Paris Eternal can even things up.
Yeah.
And really put up a serious fight. They'll be starting things off on the defense. We'll be just showing us the 3-tank, 3-support lineup.
Talk about legends, you know. San Francisco Shock have one of their own in Rascal here.
Yep.
Definitely had a better performance on the first map than he did against New York on this Brigida pick. Also a Genji player himself. Let's see how the Shock are able to get an angle here to try to take high ground away. Choyobin pops up high to get vision on whether everyone's up on this high ground. He's able to confirm it. Now they're going to try to use this right side approach, actually changing their minds here.
Trying to fake them out. Pushing in straight underneath. Not going to be going for the staircase to match them. They want them to come downstairs, which is exactly what Paris is going to do. So they get them off the high ground. Now Shock going to be in that awkward spot at the back of the point. Need to make their way in onto the limousine to start getting this point taken.
Benbest is the target here, but he's supported well. Ooh, early bubble there. That could cost them. They're going to collapse.
Pink focus. Violent
He's
almost
the
takes
target.
him down. They poop him out to the side. They're trying to isolate him. He works his way back. The shield comes in and gets an armor pack. And Benbest stays alive for a little bit longer, but still has a sliver of HP. Violet just going to be spamming away as they work their way onto the point. Transcendent's going to be online. Hip close behind. Double support ultimates are here for Paris. Sound barrier's going to be coming through, but it's too late to save Finzy's mech. Gets the baby demon out, the shatters out. Locking him in. Pin goes through, Benbest taken out. Shadowburn killing himself off with a right click. The explosive damage from one of those lob shots finishes himself off, and that means Shock go ahead and pick up point A very swiftly.
Very good plays by the Eternal when that situation happened. Nico with the perfect armor pack to try to save Benbest. But so many cooldowns were wasted to save him after Shadowburn used an early bubble to try to protect him so he could get a positional advantage. As soon as that bubble wore off, San Francisco Shock made the call to go in. They committed. He survived the initial barrage of Shock speed boosting in, but it was later that he couldn't survive with no more cooldowns.
Rally out from both sides. Kruise already taking a lot of damage, manages to stay alive, and Finzy gets to eat on Sinatra's grab, taking that one away. The defense matrix completely denying that Zarya access. Now, Graviton Surge going to be in from Shadowburn. His not going to be taken by Choyobin. Bombs up from him into the back, looking for a pick. Does not find it so far. It's going to be a 1-for-1, now a 2-for-1 as San Francisco continue to advance. The shatter in from Super locks him up into the back line. They'll clean him up. The Shock will continue to advance.
We've been talking about Sinatra, you know, winning the Zarya versus Zarya. He's doubling Shadowburn's damage right now. His grab was absorbed there by Finzy's defense matrix, but yet he has another one already, 95%. He was the one doing all the damage in that fight. Zarya, Sinatra says, is not a tank, but a DPS, in fact. And he's got this grab ready to go for the Streets phase.
Bomb to open things. Finzy throwing it into the back. Not going to be able to find anything. Sinatra locks him up, and Shadowburn instantly gets dropped. Sound barrier through from the Shock. as they just go ahead and try to stay alive in the fight, and that's exactly what they're going to be able to do. They clean them up again, and the cart is just gliding along at a very steady pace.
Yeah, this is a great time bank for the Shock. Nice early take. Now they've controlled this. Now look at how they're positioned right now. There's not allowing Paris Eternal to easily even leave this stage 9 studio here. They've got both watch points watched. And look, Mott's going to look for the knockback to isolate one single target as soon as they spread out. They're heading to the other side now. But this indecision means a free push to B. I actually appreciate Paris' decision not to fight in the choke point and just give them the better time bank, because otherwise they're going to give too many ults to the San Francisco Shock in a very poor fight.
Yep, still going to be trying to fight them right here at the studio entrance. Super wrapping around by himself for the moment. Not going to get punished for that. Cart will start to advance. Ryan's right up into the front. They isolate Ben Best, but he makes it back over to his squad. Does stay alive. Rallies out from both of these Brigittes. But every time Ben Best comes around this corner, he just takes a beating. Has to constantly keep working his way back into cover.
Early bubble here from Shadowburn again.
Shatter's out. Oh, sound barrier, however, from Kruise might just keep them alive. It's not going to be enough for Nico, however. Will be finished off. Finzi taking a bit of damage here. Ben Best and him going to be taken down. Another clean fight from the Shock. Super has been just knocking him down. Shatter after shatter. He is just nailing them.
Yeah, with the bubble being used that early for Shadowburn again, Super's able to identify this. They had to retreat, and that means that Super gets an angle there. The most important thing as a Reinhardt player when trying to hit those showers is finding an angle where your opponent's barrier does not block it. A bit of geometry here. And he's already halfway to another one as they push around this corner.
Working their way up. Such a great pace by the Shock. Still 3.5 minutes remaining in the time bank, getting ready to finish. Hollywood just need to roll up right in that VIP slot. Both these Briggs going to be hitting the ground. Going lower and lower. Grab comes in, locks up 2. Violet dives in with the Transcendence to keep his tank line alive. Choyobin pushing up into the front. Bomb going to be coming through. Choyobin looking for the kills. Finzi's bomb comes out. Shot. Shatter again from Super. Finds 3. But the kills aren't quite there yet. Nico going lower and lower. One more hit of the hammer would have finished him off, but Super's got to try to get his way back to his squad. But Kruise manages to find the kill, and that is going to be the retreat call coming in for the Shock.
As beautiful as the shatter was, they could not confirm the kills. Now they're going to get staggered here a little bit. Sinatra is the target. He will get away. You can't chase any further than that, or you're at risk of getting wiped yourself as the respawns come through. Sinatra still maintains high energy because he did not die, and this is their opportunity to close out the map with no defending transcends from him. He's almost there, 15% away. That's the grab that's going to get them the good time bank.
Straight back into it. 100 energy here from Sinatra. Graviton Surge
There it is.
available. Throws it down. Sound barrier is there, but it does not matter. There's so much damage from the San Francisco Shock. They just go ahead, wipe the floor with the Paris Eternal, knock Finzi out of the mech, finish him off, and they will go ahead and work their way through to the finish line on Hollywood. 2 minutes and 12 seconds remaining.
It's just a highlight reel for Sinatra this afternoon as he is just hitting them left and right, building another quick grab. High energy comes through. He knows Hip doesn't have the trance. He gets them that 2 minute plus time bank.
Well, Paris, they drain it down a bit. Could have been worse for them. Let's see how they manage on the attack when we come back. here we go, ladies and gentlemen. San Francisco Shock, a very nice attack. 2 minutes, 12 seconds in the time bank as they finish on Hollywood. Paris Eternal getting ready to take the attack, but yeah, big matchup coming through. Bren with the spicy prediction. Shanghai going to be going up against the London Spitfire. You guys do not want to miss it. So whether you're watching on Twitch or on Disney XD, make sure you stay tuned for that. It's coming up in just a bit, but first we have to get through the rest of this series.
Right now, Sinatra, Achilleos sitting at exactly 10,000 damage. Very pretty number here, whereas Shadowburn sits at 5,300, so nearly double again. And it's a lot of the time bubble management for Shadowburn that's costing him position. He can't get in there to do the damage if he's under attack nonstop.
Well, similar approach coming through for Paris, but they try to shift back to the front, actually, so changing things up, but Violet finds a very crucial pickoff as Hip gets taken down. And now, with them playing around the backside of the point, getting their Zenyatta to the rest of Paris Eternal is nigh impossible.
Honestly,
Shock still pushing forward. They're feeling bloodthirsty at the moment. Ben Best, he's backed into a corner, and Super's just swinging away like a madman.
when you're in this situation as Paris, as Kruise is trying to backcap here.
It worked once!
When you're in this situation here, you just want to die as fast as possible because the longer the fight goes, Shock just gets way more ults than you. They already won it. The reason why that happened is Violet was watching the doorway, and Hip was trying to split off from the rest of the squad to get shots in the backs of the heads of the Shock members who collapsed down to the Paris Eternal, but Violet already knew where he'd be. He gets that kill. Now he's got a Transcendence. It's going to be a long time before Paris Eternal can hope to take a realistic team fight here on A because of that botched first attack and the ult advantage that Shock now holds because of it.
Yeah, barring a miracle here. We'll see. Going for a similar approach again. Sinatra up onto the high ground. Not that high of energy with the grab. About to be online. Oh, they almost pick off, I believe it was Kruise there. But he does manage to make it out with his life. Shifting around. You can see this hesitation. Not sure which way to go, how to approach this point.
They're just trying to build ultimates. They don't want to take a fight until they have them or until someone makes a positional mistake.
They're getting closer and closer. Rally's going to be out. Rascal going to be matching now. Nico initiated it. The first take on here on A will be coming through. Paris gained that one for free. San Francisco playing this one out patiently. Shatter comes down. Hip going to get locked up into the back. The sound barrier is going to be there to keep him alive. Transcendence now in from Violet. Shadowburn not yet to that Graviton surge. Sinatra beats him there. Throws it down. The bomb coming in. Gonna find two. Shadowburn and Kruise going to be taken out. Finzi even knocked out of the mech. And San Francisco will be able to win the fight.
A huge shatter that hit Hip there and stunned him meant the Kruise needed to sound barrier. Super builds another shatter in the ensuing fight, but the important thing here is that the ult advantage in terms of healing was on the side of the Shock because they healed second, because the early barrier had to go up. Now they get to hold their own sound barrier. Moth still has that, and Shadowburn is only just now approaching his grab. We're running out of time here for the Paris Eternal. This fight has to be it, realistically.
I mean, he's got it online.
And with Violet and Moth almost having both support ultimates up, it's going to be real hard to get value out of that. He has to do it somehow, though. It has to be this fight.
He's got no energy to start things off. If Jobin takes this away with the defense matrix, that could just be it. Goes ahead, throws it down on top of the limousine, locking him in. The bomb going into the back. They get the pin. That's going to be super taken out. A good start for the Paris Eternal, but can they get more? Nico going to be taken down. Now Kruise going to be taken out. Violet gets himself a double kill. Jobin will lose out on the mech, but Paris are losing out on the match. The clean sweep comes through. They'll finish off Finzi with a bit of a stagger here.
And Violet's such a storied history for this Zenyatta. One of the best we've had in Korea over the years. On O2 Ardiant, he's patient. He yet again holds the Transcendence. They still have it for this next attack. Really nice charge there for Ben Best. He's had so many to set up these self-destructs from Finzi. But when you don't have enough ultimates to win the longer fight, it doesn't matter if you get a single kill when suddenly Sinatra and Shoyobin are cutting up your back line. We're going to see if they can make this happen, but they do not have the tools. They're going to basically have to win this without ultimates. It's going to have to be through mechanical individual plays.
That and the ult timings from the supports for Paris Eternal. Let's see how they fare. Violet starts things off with the Transcendence. Knows that Shadowburn is so far away from that grab, so he can use that ultimate willy-nilly. Sinatra gonna have to grab online. Throws it down to the back of the limo. The sound barrier's out from Kruise. They're stacking the support ultimates. The pin comes in and Ben Best gets picked off. Now the shatter down. Shadowburn gonna be knocked onto the ground, but they're trying to get him. He works his way into the back. Manages to stay alive. Bomb out from Finzi. Looks for a pick, but doesn't come up with anything. Hobin gonna be popped out of the back. Now Kruise gonna be gone. Super gonna be eliminated. Sinatra under fire. Nearly gets taken down. Manages to stay alive for a little bit longer. Violet here, spamming away with these left clicks, trying to build up for that Transcendence, but it's not going to be in time. Shadowburn was able to get the grab, but Sinatra comes back in, high energy, takes out two, but Shadowburn gets him. Choyobin alone onto the point. Violet trying to stay alive, can't do much. Kruise comes in from behind, takes him out, and that will be the cap on A for Paris Eternal. So not getting full health here on Hollywood. Do manage to get the cap on A, but they have so far to go with such a small time bank.
It's one of the rare times you'll see Shadowburn killing Sinatra in the kill feed, but even though Sinatra had high ground, the members of the Shock got too aggressive after Super Shatter there, weren't able to confirm the kills. Paris Eternal had the support ultimates better timed, and they just won the sustain war in that longer fight. The Transit Violet just now finished would have been so useful to turn it around, but he didn't have it.
Well, Sinatra pushing forward, looking for the grab, throws it down. Locks him in, but gets taken out. Shadowburn again comes up with a kill on him. And there's going to be no kills found for the Shock thus far. Super holding on to that Shatter, slams it down, but it's not going to be able to find anything. The shield comes up. Benbest going lower and lower. The grab comes in from Shadowburn. They lock up Choyobin by himself, pop him out, finish him off. And the cart will continue to advance because the Shock have to peel back.
Yeah, they have to peel back. The Transcendence usage there, along with the sound barrier, they thought it was going to basically allow Sinatra to carry the fight, but didn't happen that way. And when you look at the situation here for the Paris Eternal, they've still got decaying rally armor. The Shock are basically going to have to just wait here until they can get a better opportunity. I think engaging here would be a huge mistake.
Well,
they're caught.
To start things off, Fincy throws it in, but doesn't find any picks. They zone them back. They get a little bit more distance with the cart, but now they don't have that to combine with anything. Answering bomb from Choyobin, not going to find a pick, but they do manage to hound down Benbest, get rid of that Reinhardt, follow up on a Shadowburn.
Shadowburn staying in that room there way too long. Not entirely sure
That
why.
is a deep charge.
Not entirely sure why he would have, or why he thought that that was going to be the way they were going to turn the fight around. It's clearly lost. Really nice disengage by the Shock when Eternal came through. Then Shadowburn's cut off. He can't do damage. They chase. Shadowburn gets staggered. And suddenly, once again, nice control here of the cart for the Shock. This fight has to go very well for Paris Eternal. They've got the support ultimate advantage once again. That's how they have to get this in.
I mean, they can move this into point B, but even then, they'll bump up their time bank very slightly, but still will have a lesser time bank compared to the San Francisco Shock if they can finish the map. Getting closer and closer. Shock are giving them a lot of space to work with before they go on the offensive. Shatter comes down, so Sinatra going to be knocked to the ground in the back, but he manages to stay alive. Knockdown, answering Shatter out from Super, takes him down. The pin goes through. Nico now going to be eliminated, and Vincey's mech just cannot hold up. They pop him out. The Transcendence is there from Hip to try to keep everybody else alive. Answering grab through onto the members of the Shock, but they need the kills. Bomb comes in. Choyobin, he'll pop Kruise. The rest of the squad will go down, and OT will tick away. San Francisco Shock, a very well executed defense here in Hollywood, allows them to move up 2-0 now at match point.
Minor overextensions from the Eternal, from Shadowburn, from Benbest. These small mistakes are punished by the San Francisco Shock. They've had a tough schedule, but they have learned a lot from the opponents they've faced, and they look like a stronger team tonight. 2-0 up.
They are looking alive. Let's see what happens when we come back from the break.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile. High ground or low ground, T-Mobile has you covered. And by State Farm. Whatever life brings your way, State Farm is here to help life go right.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are back. It's time for halftime, and currently it's your San Francisco Shock who desperately need a win to get into the playoffs. They're up 2-0 over the Eternal. Welcome back into the Blizzard Arena. We got an awesome crowd. We're filling in here on Sunday morning, and already we are seeing a great matchup. Paris started off red hot with a 2-0 start to the league, but then started to cool down. Today, they're in a big battle with major playoff implications against a San Francisco Shock team that is playing their 7th and final match here in Stage 1. Now, Brent and I were watching backstage with Zoe, and we were arguing the whole time. I'm a Zarya main, Brent's a Genji main, and he's trying to tell me that Sinatra is failing. Brent, let's take a look at your clips first.
Yes, yeah, I want to roll through this because I do have something bad to say for the San Francisco Shock here, which is weird because they won the map, right? It is a bit strange, but I was not a big fan of Sinatra's Graviton Surge usage. His big ultimate, this is the one that takes a while to build up usually. It is the most impactful ultimate ability in the game. And a lot of times, it was just kind of being wasted in a lot of senses, and he wasn't getting a great value out of it. I was a bit disappointed because he is normally a great player.
And we'll see more of those grabs a little bit later, but Zoe, when the grabs weren't landing, it's okay as long as you got someone primal raging like this.
Yo, Super played out of his actual mind. His stats were absolutely insane towards the end. But first, let's take a look at those Zarya stats now. Sinatra and Shadowburn actually matched up against each other. Yeah, Brent, you want to take that?
Yeah, Brent, hold on.
Okay.
Which number's bigger here? Is it the 62?
Listen.
Or is it
All
the
right.
41?
Okay.
Is it the 20,000? Or is it the 13,000, Brent?
He's a good player.
How is this a bad performance from an amazing Zarya?
Sinatra is a good Zarya player, okay, normally. But his grab usage was questionable. But you can afford questionable grab usage when you're doing 20,000 damage in a match at the end of map 2. That is absurd. He's building up Graviton Surges every 52 seconds. Every 52 seconds, almost twice as much as Shadowburn has been building.
So are you siding with me now that he is a great Zarya? And you take it all
but
back?
he's only good as well because he's being supported. Like
These are just Hollywood numbers, by the way.
I was about
We
to
should
say,
that,
it's
too.
easy to look really good statistically if your team actually rolled the other team, so that's a bit skewed if you're looking at those stats, and his team just did really well on this map. They were the team who created space for each other. Paris was just forced into impossible fights and situations. Granted, they went in a little bit too aggressive, and you don't really want to do that if you have Super running at you like that. San Francisco just, they fought fire with fire. They knew that Paris is a very aggressive team, and they paid for it, honestly. They just went in there and actually crushed it. They had great ultimate usage on the side from San Francisco Shock, and as I said, Super stats look absolutely bonkers at the end of it.
He's a
He
Giga Chad.
went 31-3. That's his kill death
That's pretty
ratio.
good.
And Ben Best had 6-12. Yeah, I wrote that down on my hand. That's right.
Yeah.
Super.
The audience looking at me. Yeah, there it is.
He's insane.
Zoe
Honestly.
hates note cards.
I do. I just needed 4 numbers, and I have dyscalculia, and I can't actually think of them otherwise.
All right, now
There you go.
we do see Paris down 0-2, but one player you're highlighting in the back was Finzi. The Devo is eating those grabs from the Zarya, of course, the Shock, that's Sinatra. Keep an eye on those 2 players in the second half, but let's talk specifically about this Eternal squad. You're also playing for a spot in the playoffs potentially. You still have 3 matches to go, but this is an important one. How do you get back in this series after being down 0-2?
I mean, you have to stop going in so aggressive. It's clearly not working at the Shock. Like, they're getting punished every single time. They're being caught out of position so much. Shock, they did their homework. They know that Kruise is going in very, very aggressive, and they punish it. So if I were Paris, I would play a little bit further back and maybe look for a little bit more of a sneaky approach.
Keep Kruise alive.
Yeah,
Seems to be
that's a good idea.
Keep your supports up, and you have a chance of winning the game. All right, we'll see if they can get the job done. Cheer on Paris Eternal, or let us know. Do you want the Shock to seal their spot in the playoffs? We'll see if they can make it happen with a big win today. We'll be right back with Game 3.
They don't just play for a team. They play for every fan, every rival, every moment, every match. And when everyone watching expects the best, they perform with the best.
way through this series, the first one of the day on the last day of the week, and the Shock are on fire. 2-0 lead for them. Paris Eternal now at a point where they have to reverse sweep if they want to be able to take this series. And again, this is a very critical one for both of these squads if they want to make it in the playoffs. Shock now really just one map away from significantly bettering their chances.
That's right. I mean, the Paris Eternal are having a lot of trouble in the Zarya versus Zarya matchup. I have to say, like, you know, Bren talked about a few poor grabs there on the Paul for Sinatra, but otherwise he's looked really, really clean. Shadowburn versus Soon here, we talked about this a little bit earlier on the pre-show. When you look at these two players, it's not just that Shadowburn, for those, you know, Eternal fans, I think a lot of people are thinking, why don't they put Soon back in? Shadowburn isn't it right now. But when you look across the board here, generally speaking, outside of average energy, they're pretty close to each other in terms of rankings across Zaryas. Paris, everyone's touting them as 3-3, but as 3-3 kings, but when you look under the microscope, these are some of the worst Zaryas that we have in the league. So it's rough. It's tough to really turn it around here at the end of this stage. And I don't know if it's going to happen in this series.
Hard to say. We'll find out, though, as we get ready to jump on a Horizon Lunar Colony for our assault map. But Shadowburn will be sticking through no substitutions on either side, so both teams still feeling confident with these rosters. On the side of Paris, you know, we kind of start questioning, what does that mean?
Yeah.
Shadowburn stats haven't been the greatest, but think about who he has been playing against. He's been playing against Sinatra here in this series. Prior to that, versus the Titans going up against Somin Su, who is another world-class Zarya player. So, bit of an asterisk around those figures.
We've seen a few missed ults from the Shock, you know, some support ultimates being used too early. They're playing around Sinatra. They want him to be the carry, right? So sometimes even when they lose a member, they support ult afterwards so that Sinatra could do that damage. There has been some missed moments there for sure, but generally speaking, the bubble management for Sinatra is getting him high energy, and then he's doing the damage in these fights. Now we're going to see Paris try to control this high ground. They have to loop around first.
Dropping down, Super going really aggro. Sinatra's still up above, but doesn't have the best line of sight to try to get some damage weaved in. Yeah, so for now, not going to be building up too much. Nico going low. They almost find Hip, but the armor pack from Nico will help keep him alive. Paris work their way onto the point, wrapping around the backhand side. Sinatra still in control of the high ground, trying to build up that energy so these right clicks really start doing some serious damage. Kruise tries to displace him, is unable to do so, but in the meantime, Paris get the first tick. The Violet will take down Nico. Now Ben Best going to be taken out as well. This will be the cleanup you would expect. No chance at a turnaround for the Paris Eternals, so have to go ahead, reset, and reapproach.
The best way to get a team off the high ground is to step onto the point, right? It's going to force the defending team that has high ground advantage to attack, because if they don't, they will lose the point, right? They get a tick from this, but again, the bubble management for Shadowburn, hate to keep ripping on him, it was too early. When Ben Best stepped on the point was when the bubble expired, and then he and Nico had no protection against the oncoming damage from Sinatra. They get burned down, and the Shock with a nice ult advantage on top of it all here.
Shuffling around, trying to keep them guessing as to where the approach is going to come through. Shatter into the back, though. Super says, hey, how you doing? Hip and Ben Best instantly taken out, and the cleanup will come through again. Okay, go next. Paris Eternal, reset again.
This is another one of those moments where you could see the mind works as one here for the San Francisco Shock.
The saddest death.
And the 6 members are able to identify and communicate. They're taking the same approach angle they did previously. They're trying to drop us down, but I'm going to take the other side drop down this time. I'm not going to drop down as early as I did last time. Super conveys this, gets the back shatter there where there's no one looking for the Eternal because they did a repeated push the same way they did previously. Nice adaptation here for the Shock. Gets them a huge time burn here. Down to 1:30 on the clock, clearly.
Well, here we go. Trying this one again. Wrapping around the backhand side. Sinatra going to get stunned up. Goes low, but Violet is there with the Transcendence to keep him alive. Transcendence already used by Hip. Kruise not able to get the sound barrier in time. Sinatra just bursts him down. And that'll be 2 members effectively gone as Finzi gets popped out of the mech. Ben Best is trying to stay alive, but they are booping him back. They're keeping him contained in the room, and now the cleanup will come through as San Francisco Shock pushes basically all the way up to Paris Eternal spawn.
Ben Best has had some great moments throughout this series, especially the set Finzi self-destructs, but sometimes in these fights, looks like he's trying to be the hero. That shatter there was never going to turn the fight, unfortunately, after multiple members of the Eternal were dead. He commits it. That's another tool they're now missing for what is going to very likely be their final push. Shadowburn has a grab versus no support ultimate, so that's their win condition here. He just needs to get into position to use it. And it cannot be eaten by Choyoben or it's all over.
Gonna push their way up. Nico almost getting bursted down right at the start. Bomb's gonna be coming through. Benbest gonna be knocked down by the Shatter Bomb. Not gonna be able to find any picks. There's Eternal though. They have the sound barrier to help get them over to the point, and Hip is still holding on to that Transcendence. Limited ultimates available for the Shock. This could be a winnable fight for Paris. Let's see what they can get done. They start off with that first tick. Super going to be taken down. That's a fantastic start. Sinatra pushes forward, however, drops in that grab. Now Kruise is going to be gone. They need a lot more, though, if the Shock want to get this full hold. Transcendence going to be gone from Hip. Violet, he gets picked off before he can use his ultimate. That could be the opening that they've desperately needed to break here onto point A. The second tick getting ready to come through. They grab that one in overtime. So Yoben's going to be pushing into the back. Very low HP, drops in with the bomb, looking for a pick, but is unable to find it, and Shadowburn will just take him out. Finds Finzy's mech, but that's about it. Super rejoins, comes into the backside, doesn't get the pin, almost gets taken down. One final swing from Benbest does get him. The Shatter comes out, they lock him down, the cap will come through. Paris Eternal hold it on. They get an extra 4 minutes on the clock.
Huge play by Nico there in that fight to stun Violet to prevent the Transcendence. If that Transcendence goes off, San Francisco had Sinatra on point. He could do so much damage. They have staggered respawns here, the Shock. There's a huge opportunity for a double cap.
The kills are right there at the end, so late in the fight. They're able to push over. Get 1.5 ticks for free. 100 energy for Shadowburn, holding onto the grab, but it's taken away. Troy Hoban says, no, not today. Snatches that one right out from underneath of him, and the cleanup will come through. There's the Shock. Find the kills. Super will be taken down, but the team pretty much crushed at the moment. They will start the retreat.
It feels like the Paris Eternal are crumbling under pressure here in some of these fights. This is a fight where too many ults were committed. It looked like it might have been the double cap, right? But as soon as the delaying Transcendence comes out for Violet and everyone's on the point, you've got to realize in this moment, this is not the push that gets you B. Several ultimates committed there for the Paris Eternal means not only are they down on ultimates, but they're also down on time. Or rather, I said that the opposite way, but they're not only down on time, but down on ultimates, which is a compounding problem. These two things definitely, make things even tougher for them here. Because, yeah, getting A, they finally won that in a hard-fought battle in overtime. I'm going to take a look at this moment here where Violet is caught.
It's just him picking off Hip.
He picks off Hip.
Boom.
Yeah.
Weaving him through.
Yeah, nice play there. I mean, look at this situation now. I mean, they have to just build ultimates slowly. This is not going to be the fight they want to commit to any ultimates. They just want to build them.
Drop their way down. Rally's going to be out from Nico. Sound barrier through from the Shock. Now matched by Kruise. Everybody going to be shielded up. Grab comes down. Sinatra's not going to be taken away. Locks him in. They're looking for the kills now. It seems like they're going to be able to find him too. Going over the way of the Shock. Only losing out on Sinatra so far. And the cleanup will be there.
The idea of the sound barrier for Eternal, right? I mentioned they probably don't want to use any ultimates. They were hoping that they could trade the barrier for a Transcendence, but it didn't happen that way. It was a barrier for a barrier. Now, because what they wanted to set up for the following attack is that when Shadowburn uses his ultimate here, that they don't have that Transcendence to defend, and they can take this with a time bank. That's no longer possible because the Shock were able to respond quickly and hold on to that Transcendence, which Violet has been doing such a great job of all match long.
Now they're going to have to try to really outplay them if they want to get the cap here on this attack. Determine whether or not this is going to be another eco push and just try to build up those ults. Shadowburn lobs it in from downtown. Actually managed to get the connection this time. Not going to have the D-Matrix ready. No one going to be taken out. Shatter comes down. So many members of the Shock knocked to the ground to the back, but they're not going to be eliminated. Super gets rid of Kruise. Already one support going to be gone, but Hip is trying to drag this one back into their favor as he eliminates Sinatra. Now Troy Yoben's going to be knocked out the mech, so decent advantage here for the Paris Eternal. This is starting to look more and more winnable for them. They're in onto the point. The second tick getting ready to come in. Still 55 seconds on the clock. Can they close it out? Super boot back off the point, and they will just be able to take it. Fantastically done. It was looking like a full hold at the beginning, but they bounce back, and they get the win.
Pretty weak time bank, though, Achilleos. They're going to have a really good defense here. All hope is not lost, but it is going to be an uphill battle for the rest of this map.
And it is my win, I say finish. We still have another half of this map to go, and we'll see it when we come back. And here we go, ladies and gentlemen. The Paris Eternal getting ready to go on the defense. We're able to scrape by with a 52-second time bank at the end of Horizon. Was looking very dire, looking like they're going to be full held at point A, but able to make that final push on B workout.
Second huge play by Nico this attack. He is able to knock Super off, so he cannot contest the point here. If he contests, they could buy, a little bit more time, maybe turn it around. But his first big play was to stun Violet on A to prevent him from getting that Transcendence off. He was then focused down right afterwards. With a shock here, they're just looking for a time bank advantage. And we'll see Rascal scout out the defensive setup here with the Sombra and then return.
They're pushing pretty aggressively out, so there we go. Yeah, okay. For a second, I thought maybe he would be sticking through with the Sombra. Would not have been the weirdest thing by any means.
Yeah, especially not for Rascal, but usually you see the Diva players picking that role up right now because Brigitte is just so essential in this meta to save your tanks, that burst healing. Taking a lot of time to find the angle to force the Paris Eternal to drop down, but they're going to go to the left side. That's where they will commit.
They are waiting in the choke. Even Shadowburn not trying to play up onto the high ground so he doesn't get pinched on. Just going to be staying down with the rest of his team. Going to operate like a solid unit. Poop ball.
Nice knockback by Kruise, yeah.
Does find one taking him onto the low ground. Rascal now going to be dropping down, matching. Super swinging away. Drops off the point. They haven't really found their in yet. They're just poking out where they can. A lot of damage being traded back on both of these Divas. Stun comes in on a Super. Unable to find the kill over. Choi Hyobin, he manages to get rid of Ben Best. That's a major pickup, but it will be an exchange on the Reinhardts. Sound barrier now going to be in from Kruise. Saves Finzi from getting knocked out of the Mac. Grab going to be online, but Sinatra, does he want to use it? Yes, he does. He just goes ahead, pulls the trigger on it, but Shadowburn's already taken Choi Hyobin out of the Mac. Now Moth's going to be eliminated. A fantastic turnaround and another severe overcommitment from Sinatra.
This is going back to exactly what Bren pointed out during the halftime show here. As some of these timings on these grabs, as Sinatra thinks he can carry the fight out of a grab and high energy, but it's already a lost fight there, and he probably expected, it was probably a call on the side of the shock that Hip didn't have trance yet, but that was just simply not the case. This is a great start for the Paris Eternal. Remember, they need a massive defense here in order to keep the time bank competitive, and so far, so good.
Rallies out from both sides. Major damage there onto the shock, and that's just going to be the Transcendence coming through. They know that Shadowburn does not have a grab available. So Violet goes ahead and invests that ultimate sound barrier on the way from Moth. Deja vu as they push back up onto the high ground.
Nice
the boot
move
bump again. Yep, the things are just playing out very similarly. Drop down and Super. Oh man, trying to go for the drop shatter perhaps, and now the sound barrier comes through.
This is great for the Eternal.
Well, Moth just managed to get Ben Best, so trading one back. Another exchange on the Rhines, but Choi Hyobin's going to be knocked out of the back. Both bombs going to be coming through. Double kill for Choi Hyobin. Nothing for Finzi. And just like that, the shock are right back into it. It seemed like there should have been no way.
Well, I mean, this is the moment where Sinatra commits the grab. I know everyone likes to be critical, right? That's the cool thing to do, right? But Sinatra in his previous grab mistimed. But in this moment, he's able to toss it in. And that's what he was trying to do in the last one, is turn the fight with the grab. He's got Choi Hyobin remeching. He sees the remech and reacts to it. Choi Hyobin calls the remech, and then he drops in the grab right afterwards. Perfect decision-making there in that moment.
Oh, into the back, Super looking for that shatter, unable to find it. Shadowburn throws in the grab, and Choi Hyobin takes it away with the defense matrix yet again. Another one denied.
This is a problem.
Major defensive tool not in the hands of the Paris Eternal anymore. San Francisco make their way over onto the point. 4:35 remaining on the clock. Shadowburn taking a lot of damage. You can see they're just trying to stand behind that Rhine shield. Shatter will finally come
barrier.
out. They do lock up Choi Hyobin, but Island's got the Transcendence ready to go. Finzi firing back. Gets rid of Sinatra's grab. Evening the odds as much as humanly possible now. Transcendence aggressively forward from Hip as they try to push the shock back into the choke. So far, working out, and Rascal will be taken down.
The fight was won the moment that Violet Transcendence first. Hip was able to come in with the second one, and that means that the last Transcendence is the only one that matters a lot of the time in these fights, with both Graviton Surges being eaten. Should have been staggered here, very unfortunate. But I have to say, that fight was really won and started to be massively in favor of the Eternal. When Kruise hit that sound barrier when everyone on the Eternal was low, that set up the advantage there for Hip to be able to transcend in second. Now they've got control of this choke once again with a Graviton Surge versus no trance. Shadowburn, high energy too. It's a tough fight for the Shock.
Oh, more poking out coming through the doorway. Sinatra trying to build up for that grab. He's nearly there. 12% more to match Shadowburn. He's going to be going down onto the low ground, so disconnected from his squad. Boosting his way back up, but they say, no, what? You know what? We're going to come join you.
Does not want to get eaten by Choyobin.
Shatter's going to be in. They knock him to the ground. Can they get the kills, though? Transcendence is in from hip. Again, keeping his squad alive. Grab comes through from Sinatra, locking him up around the pillar. Bombs in from Choyobin, looking for the picks, but Benbez has a shield. Finzi, however, is still going to get picked up, but he fights Moth. That's going to be a decent little trade-up, but the Shock still have the man advantage here onto the point now. The damage gone. Shadowburn eliminated the first tick, getting ready to come through. Shock drained down to 245 at the moment, but things are looking good. Can they contest this?
Only Finzi.
He pushes forward, instantly taken out of the mech. The rest of the squad coming in, hit, stunned up, pushed off the point, and they will be able to close it out. So superior time bank in for the Shock.
Yeah, the same way Nico did it previously. You see Rascal knocks him away on the Tracer to make sure he cannot tag onto the point. And it's a better time bank here for the San Francisco Shock.
Well, overtime coming at you in just a bit. Here we go. Paris Eternal keeping their hopes alive. Get bumped up to a minute on the clock. San Francisco Shock going to be at 246, and oh boy, we got some shenanigans, ladies and gentlemen.
Certainly do. Now, the reason why the Shock are going to go with this strategy is because of the weak time bank for Paris. This is a strategy that requires you to change composition and, on the fly, make strategic calls very quickly. And when you only have 1 minute of time, all of those small things actually will take 15 seconds away, perhaps even more. They're going to see how quickly they react to this. This may mean, though, that we see Shadowburn Genji, so, hey, that's exciting.
We'll have to wait. Okay, they're pushing their way back. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, you guys are getting excited about the Bastion, but if you want Paris Eternal to take this with 45 seconds left, you better give them your energy right now because they need it to pull off that reverse sweep.
Shadowburn Genji!
Here we go!
All right.
Are you excited?
Legendary Genji, one of the first famous Genji players in the world when Overwatch League was released.
I feel giddy. I'm so excited right now.
Let's see if he can make this happen. He's only got 30 seconds. As excited as we are,
yeah.
It's going to have to be big. He's going to have one for the highlight reels here.
All right, getting tagged up. The grenades bouncing their way through into the back. They're timing this one as well as they can. They get the distraction into the back. The Sombra, Nico trying to tick up where he can. The rest of them going to be pushing forward. Sinatra over onto the side in the turret form. Manisa burns down Ben Best, and now Shadowburn going to be taking out the Genji. So short-lived, it would seem. Now, a miracle required to even get the tick on A. They tried to go for it to get the style points, but it falls short. They get halfway to that one tick as Nico has to jump back with the translocator. Kruise comes through, tagging back in, lands on a trap. And that will be the hold.
And that is the win for the San Francisco Shock. They will take this series. Yeah. It is impossible now for the Eternal to get anything more but a draw. Wasn't enough. The Shadowburn bringing out the legendary Genji. He's burned down from the side by the Bastion, and that is it. He dies with 24% of a Dragon Blade, unable to get into position. This is the kind of strategy you see when the time bank is weak, and that's why it was so crucial for Paris to eliminate the time bank the same way to the Shock to hope to have their chances to take this map. It did not happen that way, and despite quick thinking from the Paris Eternal and trying to put Shadowburn back on that Genji, which is the proper response to the Bastion, it's only one shot you've got, and they missed it. And now the series goes the way of the Shock.
What's a sideshow emotes there on the ground? Out of potatoes?
That's right.
But, like you said, Paris Eternal, they could try to get a draw here, but they cannot get a victory in the series.
Yep.
San Francisco Shock do manage to take it, but getting a draw, getting that momentum to try to push forward into our final round on Escort and pick up a map victory there would certainly be good for Paris. So let's see what they can get done.
We talked about the Shock, this being a must-win series for them. the 4-0 here makes it much more likely that they will be able to make playoffs. So absolutely essential that they close this out. The Eternal want that draw, the longer season here. And we'll have a match as well next week. But, you know, it's already, playoff chances are already pretty dead.
2:30 remaining, just a single tick, all that they need. Fire Strike, pretty meaty there for Ben Best. Super stunned up right into the front, but now Fincy going lower and lower. Tries to get the pin there, but is unable to lock down the Diva. It's a bit of a disconnect. Have to go ahead and gather back up. Ben Best, however, under a lot of pressure around the corner. And Hip going to be taken down. Violet opens things up for the Shock. And with these kills, that's just going to be it. That's all she wrote. 3-0 going to be rolling through as they gain this tick. The San Francisco Shock now truly taking the series as they move up 4-3 in stage 1.
Very impressive stuff from the Shock. A tough stage here for them. It's ironic given what we were saying about Paris leading into this stage before we started. Looks like one of the tougher opponents for the Shock, but this is one of the easiest ones they've faced so far. And it's just win after win they're racking up right now. Feels good after taking that tough loss against New York to get some padded stats here. 3-0 so far.
Yeah, fantastically done from them. Let's see if Paris can get one when we come back from the break.
3, 2, 1, fighting!
Let's go, guys.
Yep. The Overwatch League is powered by Intel. Game, record, stream without compromise on Intel Core i7. And by Omen by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. One more map to go. Paris Eternal unable to pick up a victory. Needed a reverse sweep. A near impossible task given the form that San Francisco Shock is showing. But right now, Paris showing some dejected looks on camera.
Yeah, it's been rough, you know. You could feel the frustration ever since Nepal, especially when we had that pause and, you know, Ben Best was on camera. He was already stressed out. It was a tough round. And then you go into Hollywood, where unfortunately, like, you're kind of outclassed in the Zarya matchup. It's such an important one on that map. Horizon goes poorly, and now, you know, it's hard to stay motivated to take that fourth map. But we've seen many teams do it before already, and, you know, there's ways to, you know, convince yourself in moments like this, as difficult as it is, that this map is not about stage 1. This map is about the season playoffs and getting there. Because every map matters now, but it matters even more after 4 stages.
Yeah.
This map may even be forgotten by this team by the time we get there, but if they get it, it's going to mean a lot more.
Well, Shock on the defense. It's going to be sticking through with a 3-3 Eternal. We'll just be matching. No surprises there.
Yep, no Roadhog shenanigans that we saw from Seoul yesterday. Pretty predictable at this point.
Start pushing their way out. Sinatra here on the high ground. We'll just go ahead and start pushing back immediately. Not trying to play too far forward. This is some good restraint to see from the Shock.
Yeah.
You can tell that they're taking this fourth map very seriously. They want to get that clean 4-0, trying to bump up that map differential as much as humanly possible.
Sinatra really limited in terms of energy gain here. This is actually a good start for the Paris Eternal. Pretty free push, too.
Yeah, they have not given him anything. Still has the protective barrier. We'll go ahead and throws that one out. Just trying to keep his teammates safe. Build up where he can. But Shadowburn pushing ahead of him at the moment, 10% above. Sinatra starts surging back up, though, to try to match. But the card so far, a lot of free gain. But as I say that, Violet will find Kruise, takes him out. But Troyobin going to be popped out of the back. So a little one-for-one exchange coming through as Paris continues with the aggression, but might be a little overzealous at the moment. Have to push their way back and try to top up these members because their health bars just keep getting lower and lower.
Choyobin's about to be able to remake.
Grab going to be coming through. Sinatra has his, hasn't thrown out the match yet. Transcendence is in from Violet. Now they throw theirs down. Hip will go ahead, pops his Transcendence. Finzi, however, still going to be knocked out. Shatter comes through from Super. Hits him on the ground, but not able to follow up on the too many other members. But now that Ben Best is gone, they will push forward towards the spawn and try to get as many staggers as they can.
He hit the grab. Shadowburn did just before Choyobin was able to get out of pilot form, remech, to be able to, potentially eat it. But not every grab opportunity needs to be taken. And using this early in this fight when they still have such a good time bank gives San Francisco Shock the opportunity to counter grab, shut down the attack there, and not only that, now build another grab, double the energy here for Sinatra in the one fight. Yeah. Very costly decision by Shadowburn to toss that one in.
And good restraint from Sinatra, changing things up from what we've seen so far. Sound barrier is going to be out. Moth keeping his team alive, and Choyobin comes up with another double bomb, finding both supports on the side of Paris Eternal.
With how
Finzi just trying to make it out alive.
Yeah, with how Ben Best is charging to try to set up Finzi's self-destruct, which have been hit or miss, so to speak. When he does that, it makes it very easy for Choyobin to counter self-destruct because Ben Best has put himself out of position. And there's just no way to shut down the explosion with no shield when Ben Best charges through. So nice reaction there by Choyobin. Very well played.
Pushing their way back there. Oh, Sinatra with a sneaky grab. Trying to build up that energy. Pushes his way up to 84. Set the Transcendence from hit, but Shadowburn still going to be focused down. So another pick coming through. Sinatra getting pushed back. Falls lower and lower, but he's got the bubble for himself. To stay alive, they'll top him back up, so no punish coming through.
You could tell.
No chance at a turnaround.
Yeah, and Achilles, you could tell he was trying to kill Hip there before the trance came out.
Yeah.
They still win the fight, even though the Transcendence was good there.
Super looking for the pin. Not going to find anything. Just rejoins with the squad, keeps himself safe. So we'll be okay. Moth, in the meantime, going to isolate somebody. Pushes his way back over towards the fountain. Rally's going to be out. Rascal now going to be matching. Cart will start to advance again. 37 seconds left in the time bank. A still not gained. Shatter comes down. Choyobin going to be locked up here on the cart, but no punishes there. Shadowburn not high enough energy to really rip them to pieces. Grab out, answering grab coming through from Paris Eternal. Bomb up over the top. Finzi looking for a pick. Gets a double. Super and Moth both going to be taken down. That's the breakthrough that they've needed. They'll get a third as Rascal gets dropped as well, and that will be A gained by Paris Eternal, keeping their hopes alive, bumping that time back up to 240.
Say what you will about Ben Best, but he is really helping to set up these explosions, and that's the one they needed to get control of A. And he builds another Shatter very rapidly in the ensuing fight. Take a look at this once again. Look at how this comes out. Finzi comes in, Ben Best gets himself into position, and then suddenly there's no barrier here for Super. And I gotta say, like, this, this play we're seeing from Finzi is pretty breakout. He's had some moments throughout this stage, but tonight he's looked really clean with matching up these ultimates. It's not a great time bank, but it's better than getting full held.
Yeah, absolutely. Basically, what we were saying there, on horizon, Moth playing forward, looking to boop somebody, almost gets taken down. Shatter coming in from behind. Ben Best just inserting himself into the back line. Around Super Shield, gets the hits, and I mean, very small time bank starting things off, but with the pace that they've made here, the middle phase of Dorado, they're going to bump this up, and it's actually going to be pretty respectable if they can get the finish.
Yeah.
Super picked off, yeah, no chance to try to contest this one.
The Shock just need to be careful not not to trickle into this point.
I mean, they're split off.
Yeah.
They're trying to push up onto the high ground, but Super gets picked off, so they're basically split spawned.
And that's why Super came in there. He was trying to protect his teammates and prevent the split spawns, but not much you can do. Dorado notorious for split spawns getting caught here on B. Split spawn being when the spawn moves because the point B is taken. Those who respawn before that happen get cut off from their team.
Yep.
Now, as Paris Eternals is rolling around this corner here with a grab, Violet's Transcends is going to have to be well-timed. Shadowburn's got good energy.
Grab's going to be coming through. They lock up Sinatra by himself, bomb up, and there's so much damage, but they cannot keep him alive, so Sinatra's still going to be taken down by Troyhoven with the bomb, able to find Finzi. Super, however, exchanged two frontliners where the Shock now eliminated the cart, going to continue to advance. There's still 2 minutes left.
This is so good for Paris, and there's no energy for Sinatra now because he died. He's going to have to respawn, so they've been coming from behind here to tag the cart.
Just managed to do so. Rallies out from Rascal in desperation as they wait for that sound barrier to come through, but restraint shown by Paris. They're being very patient here. Push their way back around the corner. Swings coming out. Ben Best gets that shatter online. Needs it to be big.
Certainly does. I would argue, I think Paris is being too patient here. They had a really nice window. Now Sinatra's got more energy.
Shatter coming down, but it's straight into the shield of Super, so blocks that one away, and his shield gets melted, and Sinatra finds the kill.
You know what?
Maybe a little too patient. Too much of a good thing for the Eternal.
They had a really good chance to have a crazy time bank there. I think they had to commit in while the respawns are going out. They got out of position and they backed away big time. But now, Shadowburn, he doesn't have that same advantage that he had previously. Ben Best Shatter misses, so they don't have that tool either. I mean, really, the rally is going to be how they have to get into position, so that's not even an advantage. Oh, such a squandered opportunity, I feel, here for Paris. They've still got a shot at this. It's not over.
Yeah, let's see what they can get done. Work their way through the low ground. This back hallway, sound barrier comes in to start things off. Hip's still going to be holding on to that Transcendence. Sinatra and Troyhoven going to be locked up. Violet trying to get there. Has managed to keep them alive. A lot of ults available for the Shock. Sinatra going to be picked off before he can use the grab. That could be crucial. He will have that respawn advantage. Closer to rejoin into the fight. Bomb up over the top. Troyhoven finds Shadowburn, evening things up, and that is it for the Shock. They go ahead and decide to shut things down. One more tag realistically for Paris Eternal, but getting this card, it's so unlikely.
I mean, it's crazy that without Sinatra and no grab, they turn it. It's all Super. He maximizes the damage. He's like a puppeteer pulling the strings of the Eternal. They were walking away from the cart, up members and up ultimates, and now Sinatra has the grab to defend. Disaster scenario now for the Eternal. They had such a nice push, but it is not going to look
sneaky
well.
Grab, he's in from the side, throws it down, locks him up right onto the corner. They do manage to force out the OT, but instantly 3 members are gone. The Shatter comes through to lock up Kruise, is making sure he can't do any back cap shenanigans this time. OT will bleed away. Paris Eternal to get very far on Dorado. So close to finishing, but it's just not good enough.
Playing passive can sometimes really go in your favor, but it can blow up in your face as well. Just not being decisive in that moment where they really needed to commit to the fight there, I feel, around 2 minutes. And then you give Sinatra time to build the Graviton Surge. The ultimate's built there. The support ults, you know, really the big difference being that Nico had the rally there first. That was the only thing they were looking to re-engage with. And even though they were able to kill Sinatra in that fight, Super comes around and he's swinging away. In terms of damage output this game, he leads 3,000 over Ben Best in the Rhine matchup. It's just moments like that where you're pounding the team into submission with this, I mean, just a positional advantage they had because Sinatra tanked all the damage, which is what he's so good at doing. And part of the reason why he's so good at getting kills because he gets high energy, which means more damage. The win condition now for Paris is to get an ult advantage off of A. They can full hold here, or they can defend B with the ult advantage they gain. But if they're trying to full hold this and they end up getting behind on ultimates, the Shock have such a good opportunity now to close out the map.
Yeah, this has to be some very tight-knit play from the Eternal. Try to get this full hold. See if they can pull it off. They started looking pretty decent. They played the time bank down pretty low on Horizon, but need to exceed that now to get this win. Super straight up into the front. Swing it away. Goes low. Gets himself out to safety. Very aggro here for Paris. This is high risk, high reward for them, but oh man, seems like it's not going to play out in their favor. Sinatra scoops up a double, and that is going to be a lot of free distance on the cart as they work their way into the marketplace.
Yeah, and the problem too with this is when you win a fight that decisively, you end up getting a pretty nice ult advantage.
Yeah.
And that's what they roll into this choke point with. So the Shock will have to, or rather the Paris Eternal will have to engage out in the open, which means they don't get to use this choke point to get the advantages that the defender will have for A. They should be careful about really committing in this fight. You always want to stop on A if you can, but the cost is high if you fail.
Super just going to be fishing for an opportunity to drop the hammer. He's been best cut over to the side. He's trying to find the angle. Throws it down, locks up one in the back. Hip going low, but they're unable to finish him off. That's going to give him an opportunity to get that Transcendence online. Rally comes out, Grab going to be locking him up. Wants that ult right now. Sound barrier going to be used for now from Kruise. Nico's still nearly taken down now, just chaining them together. Transcendence comes through. Violet matching on the other side. Shadowburn, however, still holding on to that grab, but taken away by Troy Hilbin. As I mentioned it, the Shatter, however, going to be big from Ben Best, but they need the kills. The supports scooping up the kills here as Violet and Moth both get taken down. The pin comes through.
Okay.
The cleanup finally comes in, and Paris Eternal look very good in the turnaround.
Let's talk about this too, because that was risky what Paris did, but we watched Super's first person, and that's actually the most important part of this. He missed his fire strike, so he didn't have the flanking shatter he was looking for. And Paris were able to identify, hey, he's really looking for a shatter here, but he's out of position. We can hit a massive shatter of 6-man because of his positioning on the left side of the fountain. That's exactly what they did. Very well played by the Paris Eternal.
Tagged up on the reapproach still.
He's
good
doing it
time
again
here for the Shock, but Paris looking very good so far under Auto on this defense. Shatter's still available. They're trying to break the shield, take that away from Ben Best. They keep taking it lower and lower. Unable to finish it off yet, but Violet opens things up. The Shadowburn will be taken down. They're pushing forward. Give it a beating over the Super. That's going to be a massive bomb. The Shatter comes through. Finzy's got the self-destruct in the air, and he'll just scoop up a quad.
Super is looking for the really greedy shatter, and now he's been punished for it twice. He still holds the Earth Shatter, but because Paris have identified this so well, they are really crushing it now. And it's a risk to commit ultimates in fights like this on A, when you know that your opponent could win the map just by completion. But in this case, because they're certain that these ultimates are going to get value and shut these attacks down, it's working out so well for them. Very good decision-making here from Paris.
That it is. Grab nearly online. See what they can pull off with limited ultimates otherwise. Sound barrier going to be out. They set up Super, looking for the kill. Chasing forward, they take him low. They will be okay.
Grab almost ready for Shadowburn. There's a tiny window.
There is a small window. Shatter comes down from Super. Not going to find anything. Ben Best blocks that one out. Transcendence now going to be online for Violet. Shadowburn goes ahead, locks him up. Transcendence is in from Hip. They just go ahead and stay right on top of each other. Shatter in from Ben Best from the side. Looks for Rascal, but he gets saved by the sound barrier out from Moth. Bomb from Finzy, this time not going to find anything, but Super's still going to get picked off. Kruise is in the back. He's wreaking havoc on that tank line. Troy Hellman drops in the bomb. Ben Best going to be traded out. No Reinhardt's on either side. Violet going to be taken down, but Finzy loses it out on the mech, and the pilot form Diva will be taken down. Shadowburn answers back. Kruise just trying to keep things contested here on the cart, but they might actually be able to make this happen. Yep, takes out Sinatra.
Shatter's ready.
There's a few members trying to extend this OT. The Shatter comes down, but everyone plays around the angle. They keep themselves safe. Now they just have to get rid of Moth. Sneaky in the back, but they clean him up quickly. Troy Yobin comes back in with a wrecking ball, gets the pile driver, but the adaptive shield not going to be lasting too long. Sound barrier through, OT ticking away, and the Eternal will have it. The full hold comes through on Dorado as they scoop up a single map win.
It's the map they needed here. The Shock will still take the series, but in a long lost matchup for the entirety of this series until this moment, in some ways, Ben Best gets the final laugh here, the last laugh, as he's able to hit multiple shatters, punishing the positioning of Super. We saw so many moments where he was trying to make that happen on the left side of the fountain and could not. But overall, it was the Zarya matchup here that won this series for the Shock. Shadowburn outclassed in almost every metric. That's something you expect to see going into a series like this. Tough for the Paris to win it, but at least they're able to bring that final map home.
That they are. Seems like Super maybe just getting figured out a little bit at the end there by Ben Best, but overall, a fantastic performance from him. I mean, you think back, we had that graphic, the Super Bad graphic. He has definitely made up for that and has shown some fantastic performances. And speaking of Super, let's go ahead and throw down to Mika, who's on the floor, ready for an interview with him.
Thanks, guys. We got Super here, the super tank for San Francisco Shock, and you guys have just finished your first match of the stage with arguably one of the hardest schedules. So, how are you feeling?
I think we're in a pretty good spot to make playoffs because that was obviously our goal, and we won, which was important. So.
Yeah, congratulations. And if you guys do make playoffs and go on to fight in the big battles, who are you most looking forward to battle? Maybe team-wise and player-wise.
Well, we think we can beat anyone, so it doesn't really matter. But yeah, hopefully we make it.
All right, well, I love that confidence. Super's hoping to take on anyone. Bring it is pretty much what he said, and that's all we have down here for now, so back up to the casters.
Thank you very much, Mika. I like the confidence coming through from Super. I mean, like I said, I think he feels very vindicated at this point, given the start of the season. Moving in, especially with this series, able to get the victory here against Paris, pretty one-sided.
He's one of our more famous players down here at the studio as well, with all the signs with his face on it. I mean, since week one, too. Yeah. It's not like he suddenly got these fans. He's a very famous player, very good Reinhardt. Tough times there on the final map, but as we take a look at the standings, you will notice that the Eternal are still not out of playoff contention yet. That final map makes it a little bit closer. They're just above the Hunters at the moment. But remember, it's very unlikely. It's no longer up to them. Meanwhile, Shock will jump up to tie with Reign in 6th place, and they finally do, Paris Eternal, break that 11-map win streak, or losing streak, rather.
Lost streak. They would love to have it be called a win streak, but unfortunately, hasn't been the case. But they don't get O4'd for a 3rd time in a row, so that's going to be a major thing to avoid for them. That little takeaway right at the end, it really can mean so much to the players and also to the standings at the end of the day, so still not eliminated from playoffs. So Paris fans, keep your fingers crossed. But let's go ahead and figure out who our player of the match is on the side of the San Francisco Shock, presented by Omen by HP. And we just heard from him. It's going to be Super.
I mean, Super had a great start to the series. We were critical of him that last map, but doesn't matter because he won them 3. He's able to get these environmental kills on Nepal, wins out that matchup against Ben Best here. We were talked about so much on Sanctum. Super important to get those environmental kills on that map. Now we see just shatter after shatter here on Horizon. He's able to set these up. And he maximized damage actually on the defense on Dorado too, if you remember that moment. On the attack, we were critical, but on the defense, he won them a lost fight. Nearly 50,000 damage done on the Ryan here. Very impressive stuff from a player who's been very criticized in the past, but looks pretty consistent here today.
Yeah, certainly has been a level of performance from him throughout stage 1, and he's got that confidence, he's got that zest. He says we can beat anybody in the playoffs. He's going to need these improved performances to be able to do that, especially when you start going back to names like Bumper on the Titans, who have already taken them down, albeit in a very close series. But guys, we're just getting started. That's one series done on the day. We still have London Spitfire going up against the Shanghai Dragons coming up next, so make sure you stay tuned. Don't go anywhere, because you don't want to miss it.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile. High ground or low ground, T-Mobile has you covered.
been a great day for European Overwatch so far, but there is a chance, at least, at redemption. This one's going to be an interesting match. Welcome, by the way. My name is Mitch Leslie, here with Matthew Morello, and it is going to be the London Spitfire taking on the Shanghai Dragons.
Yeah, now the London Spitfire have been on fire since week one. They make an adjustment to their roster. Guard comes in for Birdring. Guard has not come out of the lineup since then because they've been so strong. Shanghai, they've had some up and downs this stage. They lose those matches to Dallas, and that kind of really puts a damper on their stage one.
It's an interesting position to be in for the Shanghai Dragons now, and it's likely that their playoff chances are, well, as you can see, they're eliminated. There just aren't any. The Spitfire, however, are definitely in the mix. Their first week looked really average. I mean, even in week 2, Matt, they went to 5 maps with the Washington Justice. It looked really messy, but since then, they've definitely recovered and have come to 3-2 since then. So they're well within a shot.
Yeah, I mean, when you mentioned Guard coming into the lineup, and what that also does is allows Profit to go over to Zarya, which is a big win. You see the remaining games they have left. Shanghai Dragons, this match that's coming up now, definitely winnable here for London. And then against Seoul Dynasty, another winnable game.
That's going to be such a sick grudge match, as always. We do love to see those. So 5-2 is a distinct possibility for this London team who had, in my opinion, the worst possible start to this stage.
After the first week, you're talking about them finishing in your bottom 8. And now they kind of rally off all these wins, potentially make it to the playoffs. But as I was saying, though, Profit has been a monster on Zarya.
Look at those eyes. Stone Cold Killer. He's coming for you.
I mean, he was playing a ton of Brigitte because he's so strong at the hero, but he's so good at every hero. You know, your 2018 Grand Finals MVP. London went on to win the championship last year. He can play every hero at a high level, and I think they start to play around him and really get the most out of his strengths. That's how they've gone on this win streak.
We spent so long last year talking about London as a team that actually was based around Birdring as their real star player. And it wasn't until the end of that first season we realized that this man on your screen was the catalyst for a huge amount of the success, and he's carried that through now into the Zarya role.
I mean, look, you're number 2 in damage, and you stay alive the most. You're going to give your team a huge advantage. I know the first death in fights, I think that we see some Zaryas higher up in that because you want to play aggressive in front with your bubbles, trying to gain charge, trying to turn that into damage.
Yeah, but you can see his deaths per 10 minutes is actually quite low. It's the second lowest in the league. So you really can't argue with that. The stats are very solid. I mean, another comparison we can definitely make is you brought up Guard beforehand, obviously the newer addition to this London Spitfire roster, and a matchup between him and Ding today is definitely going to be quite decisive. Ding didn't have the best of runs against the Dallas Fuel in really either of those series.
And we were high on his Sombra. Like, we were hyping him up, right? And I think he got picked off a lot. Some of the EMP usage, when you use EMP, it's such a powerful ability. You just remove all the abilities from everybody you connect with on the other team. To only get one player, you can just do a normal hack to get that. And I think Dallas did a fantastic job. They knew exactly how Shanghai was going to use these EMPs. They got out of the way. We'll see how London fares today.
You see his Guard really getting in there. A lot of damage being done, but most importantly, enemies hacked. Again, you brought it up. You can't really use your abilities when you're hacked at all. Some heroes are very dependent on those. And EMP, as it was discussed in the halftime previously, is one of the most important ultimates. It's one of the most conducive ultimates to a teamfight win.
Yeah, I mean, look at the Ding's hacks on the EMP. It's not high about, you know, in the middle of the league. You got Guards sitting up in our top 3. That's a huge difference.
No doubt about it. It's time, though, to get our motors running and welcome to the stage, the London Spitfire. 5-2. 5-2 is a record that they're eyeing off right now. And they've got 2 more games to get there. It's very possible. Remember, this team started the stage. Everyone was like, wow, London cannot play triple tank, triple support. The most effective sort of composition, at least it was considered to be at the time and still is now, essentially. Big turnaround in week 2.
And we were talking early in the season, you got to beat London now because later when the meta shifts in their favor, you're not going to be able to get these easier wins off
you can.
Yeah, but now they're starting to roll, right? So those dubs aren't coming for a lot of these teams going against them. So London looking to be our repeat champs at the end of the year.
And of course, their opponents as they take the stage will be recovering after a rough series of matches, hoping to get some glory here in the arena. Today, it is the Shanghai Dragons.
Youngjin coming out the right way today.
veered off a little bit, getting that walkout down. But
in all fairness, like, you don't, probably as a player, you don't always think about like the way that you interview for the arena. We bring this up because Youngjin went the wrong direction last time, and it was ironic considering that he did also lead the payload in that first matchup against the Dallas Fuel. This team, there's no reason not to be bullish about this particular team. I think
they should be good.
Gamsu has been a esports pro in 3 different regions, so Korea, North America, and Europe over 2 different games. I think at the age of 2, he's 24 now. Also a very accomplished chef. Really like a great leadership figure to build this team out around.
Yeah, I mean, they get him in a trade coming over from the Boston Uprising, so you get some help in the main tank role where Fearless had to go back home for a bit. You didn't know who was going to be starting at the main tank here for the Dragons. Gamsu's come in, filled in, done a nice job. If the Dragons can get this win, you look that they can get even better going into stage 2.
We went to Luffy as well, a player that we've seen on
he was great.
Role. Yeah, really, really good. Out there in that payload looking like the real pirate captain. Koma on that flex support role. Both these plays very crucial. I think a lot of the Dragons fights, especially in a meta that does see a lot of Sombra. This is a match where Sombra is going to be a contested pick between these 2 teams, and it's very important as that Zenyatta to avoid getting EMP'd because you lose all your shields. And I'll be honest, 3/4 of your health consists of shields. It's a great way to die very quickly.
With no Ding in the lineup here for map number 1, you don't expect to see the Sombra coming out from the Shanghai Dragons. So most likely we'll see that a little bit later in the series, as they do like to make some substitutions with their lineup in and out between some of these different maps and game modes.
Yeah, we definitely see map 1 with Gregory, obviously, on the Diva. We don't really see the Dragons sort of go towards anything else. They go for a very standard setup. It seems like the Dragons are quite disciplined in terms of the compositions that they bring, although they don't play nearly as much triple tank, triple support as London. London predominantly play that, even if they've said in the past they haven't liked it. Anyway, here's your map set brought to you by Toyota. We start on Nepal, then to Kings Row, which is going to be a fascinating matchup. That's where Sombra really will get to shine. Then Anubis and Route 66 to round out our set.
Yeah, Nepal is a map that Shanghai could have taken against Dallas Fuel the other day. Just a few odd mistakes towards the end of that one. It was a crazy match. Swung it in Dallas's favor, but it was definitely a winnable match for Shanghai. So we get into game. You're going to see both teams run with the Winston version of the triple tank, triple support. Just kind of see variation, whether it's Winston or Reinhardt as that main tank. You want Winston's mobility here on this point, though.
Absolutely. We're going to be looking at how much Winstons are on the same page as their teams. It's very important, especially with Shanghai and Gamsu being a newer addition. We'll see if they are making moves at the same kind of time. But Koma already went off the brink, or at least got booped into oblivion. And Prophet extremely charged up, and you can see Gesture with a late fight engage. Allows the Spitfire to push the Dragons back into their own spawn area.
And what also allows London to push through is when Koma dies, you don't have that speed boost for Shanghai to disengage.
Yeah, it's brutal.
So you're already in a really tough position because you wanted to push up, take some real estate on the map. When he drops, you don't have a way to get out of there in a fast manner. That's when you see Nuss start to push the pace here for London, get around on the flank, pick some players off.
You have absolutely nowhere to go and nowhere to hide. Gamsu picked off early. Very quickly, London use the rally as soon as they see the Dragons want to engage, and they use that extra durability to allow them to be a bit more aggressive, reckless, and Gesture goes deep, secures that early kill, and that already will shut the Dragons down. They'll be back pretty soon, though, as Gamsu can leap towards the rest of his team, but it's going to be a Graviton Surge thrown in the way of the Dragons. They can't really move at all now. Fury and Gesture catch them up, and once again, the Spitfire go aggressive when they know they have a player advantage.
Yeah, when DM is stuck in that Graviton Surge there from Prophet, they don't want to use, like, let's say, Transcendence to try and save him. He's on the other side of the wall, so the line of sight would have blocked him from getting any type of healing. So you hold on. At least one big support ult here is Koma still trying to work towards Sound Barrier. That early death really hurt them.
And both Winstons trading places, both trying to get into the enemy team's backlines and find critical targets, but it's the Spitfire that go for the Transcendence. But Ocean, they're a little bit split up for the time being, but Guard gets a crucial stun on towards Gamsu, which makes it hard for the Dragons to push past their own front line. Gregory getting desuited, and it's not been a great start for the Dragons. The Spitfire look to be very much on the same wavelength.
And this is the type of game that London wants to play. We talk about how Gesture is a little bit more comfortable on Winston as opposed to Reinhardt. I don't think his Reinhardt's bad. I think that's kind of been like something that we went on early in the season. I think it's gotten better. Did look pretty poor in some of their early matches, but You're looking at last fight territory here for Shanghai. They got to make a play for the point.
One more chance, 93% out of 100 for the London Spitfire. Fortunately, the Dragons have 2 support ultimates, which is going to go a long way in these fights. They'll initially start to contest the point, but Prophet will be there to fight Gregory. Luffy and Gabs already go down, and there's been very little shown in all of this round for the Shanghai Dragons. Luffy goes down with his Transcendence. The Dragons could have used that to at least get them in a position to contest. But London say no.
Too many ultimates left on the table there for the Dragons. You didn't get a use of your Transcendence, didn't even get a use of your Primal Rage towards the end. You spend all game playing the same comp to build up some of these big game-changing ultimates. You gotta use them, especially it's the last fight.
The Dragons look very listless. I guess, look, to be fair, we lost an hour today. Let's have a moment of silence for that one.
Tough, right?
I'm struggling. Almost fell asleep in my cereal this morning, but we're out here. Most of us probably stayed up all night playing Overwatch, actually. I suppose it doesn't affect all of us, but the Dragons definitely a little bit slow off the starters block today. But they need to come back now. They need to secure this first map, otherwise the Spitfire are going to further out.
The whole 2 a.m. becoming 3 a.m. real quick thing, that's not that good.
That's messed up.
It's Reinhardt's on both sides now, so you get the Reinhardt version of the triple tank, triple support. It's Reinhardt pretty strong on this point, a lot of sustain, a lot of close quarter areas. You start swinging the hammer, can do a ton of damage. As the Dragons just put hash right past Gesture, as Gamsu just takes out 2 supports. Really odd first fight. Gesture's up on the high ground. He's got his shield up. He's got a bubble. And they just pay no regard to Gesture up on the high ground. They run right past him, go for the support.
Sometimes that first fire strike, really can decide how that fight goes. Especially when there's only one source of burst healing, i.e. like large amounts of healing at once in the form of Brigitte on each team. If a Brig, for example, takes a fire strike, she can't quickly heal herself back up with that repair pack. It only goes to her teammates. You don't want that to happen at all. The Spitfire don't give the Dragons too much time alone on the point. They do want to engage. See Gregory, Discord Orb on her, so she's taking a lot more damage than she otherwise would be.
And Prophet's really charged up. Doesn't die in that first fight, so keeps the energy. As Gesture did get 2 bubbles during that, so see Prophet already with the Graviton Surge. Let's see how they decide to use it.
Gesture gets a bubble, immediately jumps forward, trying to start something out or get someone low enough for Prophet to follow up on. He has a Graviton Surge, Prophet, but he's waiting for an opportunity to use it here. Losing Gesture is not ideal. Normally, Prophet would like to try and get away from that fight. He'd rather survive than be taken down with the rest of his team, but the Spitfire have to regroup and reset.
And that's good aggression there from the Dragons. When they get that pick on a Gesture, they don't kind of sit on the point and just let London kind of sit on the outsides. They push right around the corner. Shatter comes down. You need to get Prophet back to the respawn, reset his energy, because he could have done a ton of damage there.
The Dragons look much more comfortable playing in a cluster with Gamsu at the center of it, instead of Gamsu going forward and engaging on his own with that Winston pick. They look like they're in step now. It's going to be a Graviton Surge from the Spitfire to hold the Dragons together. DM tries to go a responsive one himself, but Fury eats that one up happily. Sound Barrier had to be used by the Dragons to allow them to break free of that engagement while not losing any players. But as Spitfire, they want a bit more. Gesture went for that Earth Shatter there, and Cobra and Gamsu are eaten up post-haste.
So you do have London picking up the kills, taking the point back, but the big thing that swings that fight is Fury. Using the defense matrix, flying in front of DM, eating that Graviton Surge as Nadiva can eat any of the projectiles in the game.
Just being able to cancel out
right in.
Azaya ultimate is ridiculous.
Just using a normal ability to cancel out an ultimate is massive. Because you spend so much time trying to build it up. It's such a game changer.
It's crazy. You can see the momentum shift in fights where that happens, or like the psychology affect the team. It's frustrating. Yongjin very low. Oh dear, yeah, he's not going to be anyone's Tekken main anytime soon. Gamsu is going to fall down now as well, and the Dragons missing 2. The Spitfire will be able to retain control, but more importantly, stagger Gregory out.
Yep. They're going to try not to kill her right now, or just wait for the longest possible time. Yep, now they're going to have to wait longer for her to come back from the respawn.
You're essentially doubling the time the enemy team has without 6 players.
And what London did there to win that fight, Matrix, they threw the self-destruct up towards the high ground, and then they had Gesture and Prophet just push through and separate players, so nobody could really kind of hide, get behind Gamsu's shield for protection. Prophet on the high ground. Zarya can do a ton of damage from this area. You don't want to send like Diva right in Zarya's face, because
Zarya just melts the Diva down again. Defense Matrix doesn't interact with continuous sources of damage. A beam is a continuous source. For more, look up the wave particle duality theorem and be confused. Here's the Shanghai Dragons with the rally going up on that high ground. Right in the bat, you can see that Luffy is ready to come forward with the Transcendence if needed. He'll drop from the high ground and use it. He'll let his team try and fight for the time being, though. Prophet was just waiting in the alcove at the door, and Gregory got DC'd already. That's not a good start for the Dragons. They need some damage mitigation. Without the Diva, they're down to half. They have to rely on the Reinhardt shield, but Gamsu forgot to put his up and gets shuttered down. Oh dear, 94%, and the Dragons might have let this map slip away from them entirely. They use a sound barrier to try and get away, but they can't return to the point. That'll be it. And the Dragons start much better with Gamsu at the helm on Reinhardt. And still, once they're forced off the point, they are not able to retake it. It's a bit of a tough blow to suffer, Matt, not being able to push that first number pool map to 3 stages, but they have to chew on that one and come back from map 2 in just a moment.
The Overwatch League is powered by Intel. Game, record, stream without compromise on Intel Core i7. And by Omen by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League.
They don't just play for a team. They play for every fan, every rival, every moment, every match. And when everyone watching expects the best, they perform with the best.
Spitfire have never been felled by the Shanghai Dragons in a straight series. In fact, the Dragons have only ever won 1 map against them.
And that first one was all London Spitfire. The Dragons looked much better on the second control point. They were getting Gamsu on the Reinhardt, pushing on through, but still not enough. Just some of the combos that come out from the London Spitfire just way too strong for them to deal with.
Again, a lot of the time in these fights, Shanghai were losing personnel before they could really, get set up to, go for a big ultimate fight. Everyone's using Graviton Surge and everyone's trying to...
They never really got, like, a really clean team fight, right? Where they were at full strength. Like, it always seemed like they were at some kind of disadvantage coming into them.
And I feel like with Kegri in the lineup, you do want to be able to set up a self-destruct combo with the Graviton Surge if you can sort of help it, or at least get more value out of it. There seems to be one reason why you might go away from the Sombra in some of those cases. Also, to eat Graviton Surges or nullify them will be good, but it was actually only DM's grabs that got cancelled out.
Yeah, with how big of a game changer the Graviton Surge ultimate is for a team, when you use one and it gets eaten by the other Diva on the other side, it's huge.
You
huge loss for your team.
You can see a team physically slump when it does happen, because it's often the key to winning a fight.
Well, because you're also trying to combo other ultimates with the Graviton Surge. So when your Graviton Surge gets nothing, basically use it, and it just goes away. Then you have some of these other ultimates you're holding on to, and it's like, well, do I want to just kind of like launch a self-destruct in there, try and like use a shatter to combo with the self-destruct to make it way harder?
It is literally and figuratively the force that holds everything together when you're trying to set up those team fights. So not a great start for the Shanghai. Smile, Matt, just smile.
Smiling goal.
Not a great start.
Not a great start for the Shanghai Dragons, obviously, here. Chances to bring some maps back up. London as a team are a little bit hard to get a snapshot of analytically over the last couple of weeks because they've fluctuated greatly from game to game. This is no surprise to us, Matt. Ding.
This is what we talked about a little bit before the game. We talked about on the pre-show. Ding usually comes in after the first map. They like to play a lot of Sombra comms. Didn't really work against Dallas Fuel. You saw Dallas Fuel run RCK on Sombra, counter it. London will probably run guard here on Sombra, go Sombra v Sombra.
And what we saw from the Shanghai Dragons is that when they wanted to start a fight, they made it very clear. They almost telegraphed their intent to engage the Dallas Fuel, and Dallas were given a lot of room to back away and say, oh, okay, we see that you want to fight us now, but we're going to try and, engage this sort of fight at a time where you don't have the rally, that extra armor, the durability to lean on. We're going to try and make sure we're not at a disadvantage when you guys engage.
Yeah, and I think for the Dragons as well, it's important for, fans, and when we're just looking at this team overall, a lot of these players were not in the Overwatch League last year, right? They retool this entire roster. So when they go up against a team like London, who's extremely experienced, they've seen strategies countless times. They're used to teams preparing for them and whatnot.
They've seen the lows and highs and the rigors of a longer league. Season 1 was
I think if Shanghai comes in and let's say they don't even win this game match, right? You still get 2 wins here in stage 1. The meta swaps, these players have been very successful in the past. You expect this team to be near the overall season playoffs at the end of our stage 4. I think looking at how they performed so far this season, I think getting over the hump with just those early wins was massive for them.
Now, obviously, I brain farted earlier on. Worth noting that Koma is the main support on the Shanghai Dragons here. So you see the Hanzo start there. Usually it's just to send a Sonic Arrow out and see if anyone is hiding. So you can see through walls with his Sonic Arrow, and you can just sort of switch away to another hero quite easily. DM hacked immediately. Now, this is not what you want.
Yeah, I mean, they get aggressive after they do hack DM because you cannot use the bubbles of Zarya, so not getting any charge, not being able to protect Gamsu either. The Dragons do a nice job, though, pressuring London all the way back into this corner. Now you see DM really charged up, able to fire off those alternate fires, put down a ton of damage as the Dragons look here to take point A.
It's so clean. Shanghai push in straight towards the London Spitfire, and in putting the London Spitfire under pressure, they give their backline a lot more freedom. So players like Luffy with extremely high damage potential but low durability can quite safely just start hurling orbs into the massive Spitfire players that were corralled there. And one by one they get picked off. Very clean.
And with a really good time there to take point A, you have a ton to get from A to B here. And Sombra's EMP very effective in this area of the map. You have to play in some of these choke points. You're able to connect with more than 1 or 2 players. It'll be guard getting that ability first. Rally here for the Dragons to open this up. So this is how they went with a lot of their fights the other day. Big EMP, though, from guard coming back.